Hello? Oh my gosh, that's never mind. It sounds like Small. Hello? Hello, Small. Hello, Tatum Pancakes. Oh, thank you, Tatum Pancakes, for the sugar. I had some gummy worms before I started streaming. Hello? Yeah, Small, you do that. See? You do that. Are you the only two that are here? Okay, I guess I'm gonna cancel stream. Oh, there's three. Okay, I'll stay. If there's three people here, I'll stay then. Hello, Note Views. Oh, Dragon Mouse. Hidden Pancakes, were they sour gummy worms? Yes, of course they're sour gummy worms. Those are my favorite. I prefer the cherry ones. The what do they mean by trolley? The cherry. I didn't have the cherry ones though. I have a different kind of ones, but they're sour and delicious. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I also had some trail mix. Because Costume Kiwi gave me some trail mix. I'll show that in a moment though. Tatum, we are enough for. Oh, I didn't mean to sound like that. Jeez. You are enough. You are enough. That's not what I meant. I was just being silly. Oh my gosh. Let's go. Hello. Nick, welcome, first time viewer. How you doing? Costume One is here.
Just resubscribed for 19 months.
How do I turn up my audio so I can hear it louder? Oh, that's why, because my main volume's down. Now I can hear it. Is the music too loud? That's probably fine. Costume Kiwi, thank you for the resubscription at 1 month tier 1 and being subscribed for 19 months. Thank you. Susie Q.
Susie just gifted 1 subs.
Susie Q, thank you for the very generous gifted community subscription. The one of the lucky Zigbees. Who's the lucky winner? I don't recall that name. What is that name? Just kidding. I'm being a little sassy. Ignore my sassiness. I'm just joking usually. OMG, it's Sam Burrs. There you go. Good job. You got a free sub. I assume you're here, possibly. I don't know how Twitch works. It's very confusing to me. Hello, Bethany. Welcome. Well, if you're here, that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna show, well, I have only one fan art. Well, there's two, but one was just showed to me just recently on Twitter, but I'll probably show it next week because I didn't have time to ask him for permission because I usually like to ask for permission for most all things, as you should do to be nice. But I'm gonna show a fan art, then show some other things, and we can play some Pictionary. And if we do bonus stuff afterwards, I don't know. It depends on how good you all are. Just joking. I'm joking. I will turn this stream around. Giving you Doritos. Oh, I love Doritos too. I had some today, actually, Strawberry Delight. I had some with my wrap, my sandwich wrap. I don't know, Small. I'm just making it up. I don't actually have ideas. I just make it up.
Unknown_Muse just gifted 1 subs.
Oh, thank you, Unknown Muse, for gifting a community sub to the lucky person. Virgil
76 just resubscribed for 8 months. I'm still here to enjoy.
Thank you, Unknown Muse, for being a big being community supporter. Along with a lot of you, actually. Costume One, Susie Q as well. Panda Arts, thank you for resubscribing with Prime and being subscribed for 8 months. Am still here to enjoy all the positive vibes you give. Thank you, Ziggbee. You're very welcome. I got really close really fast. Sorry about that. Zazzy Ferret, thank you for the 100 bits.
Zazzy_Ferret cheered Dex 100.
Little Paige Mustang. Did I say hello to most everyone that I saw? Hopefully, I might miss people sometimes. I think I got most of it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Just messing. Oh, you didn't do that Costume One. Jeez.
Costume Done just gifted 5 subs.
Oh my gosh. Costume One, thank you for the gifted 5 subscriptions. Big Bean community supporter. 5 subscriptions is a lot, Costume One. Thank you very much for that. It's very much appreciated. If you get a subscription, pay it forward. You don't do something nice, just nice to somebody. I'm stealing stuff from other streamers. Sometimes streamers say that. I won't say who said it, but I'm stealing it now. Do something nice to someone else. Pay it forward. We got a gifted subscription to Ezeline Gaming. I may say that wrong. Mouse Zickle. Zicky. I can't read. Super Doobie. And chewable water. Wait, what is that? No, Shy. Oh my gosh. Why am I being rated already? Shy Breeze. Let's check out Shy Breeze. A rate of 4. Thank you, Shy Breeze. If I can figure out how to click on this stuff. Is there another place I can click on it? Shy Breeze, what were you up to? Hello there. How are you? I'm doing good, Shy Breeze. Thank you for rating me. Why can't I click your profile? Oh, wait, is that right there? There it is. Let me check out your channel. I should look for a fancy mod so I can show people's channels when they raid me. Oh, you're like an otter. You're like an otter. Let me see what you're doing. Hopefully it's not too spicy, is it? I'm gonna listen. Can't hear it. I need to go forward. There we go.
Run by me the order again,
Wow. Oh wow.
Costume 1 gifted Shy _ Breeze.
Your plane is that Grant? What is that called?
A tier 1 sub to Shy
I forget what that's called. Why is it? I can't remember what that is.
Given 198 gift subs in the chat.
It's not Fortnite. Thank you for the raid. What were you doing by chance, Shy? Oh, a terrible streamer. I don't know what's going on half the time. Oh, thank you, Costume Kiwi. That's very generous of you to give a subscription as well. 2, Shy Breeze. Thank you, Costume Kiwi. Costume Kiwi is representing today, giving subs to people that are rating. Thank you, Costume Kiwi. You're helping my brand, and you're helping me get, I don't know, more people and stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm kind of like spacing out a little bit. I had sweets and some water and stuff. I might eat food after the stream too. Are we playing Pictionary? Oh, that's right. I'm like spacing out. Let's do pictures first. I'll show some pictures and then we'll go to Pictionary. Okay? Sound bueno? I think that means good in Spanish, right? For the first, this is a very unique Ziggbee fan art. It looks like it's very professionally made. Look at this. This is by Whitey Kitty Plushies. Oh, it's Witty. I can spell sometimes. It's Witty Kitty Plushies. Other social medias is Witty Kitty. This is an actual plushie made by hand. I only know how much. I can only imagine how many hours it took to actually make this by hand. Probably a lot of hours, but that's so fancy. That is super fancy, Witty Kitty. Thank you for making that and sharing it in the Discord. I know on your Discord pictures too got a lot of reaction to it because people were amazed by this work. Wow. Thank you, Witty Kitty, for showing this. Let me sharing it too.
Months. Always so happy to see you after a long day, Ziggbee. Beating heart. Much platonic love.
No, Tabby Beans, wait! Tabby Beans, a person made this as like fan art. It's not like, I don't have a plushie still, but this is a very fancy one that was made, Tammy. Very, very fancy. I looked at some of their other social stuff. They look like they make plushies, but like patterns and stuff too. They're very fancy. I might have to talk to them and see. I don't know if they want to make more or what the price point is and stuff, but I'll have to see. But yes, very fancy. Very, 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 very fancy. Tails doll, hello. Welcome. Oh, this is adorable. Yeah, it is. I guess that's the only fan art I really have for today. Except for pushing Werewolf Billy merch. Well, actually Ziggbee, but Werewolf Billy makes it. I think Werewolf Billy is gonna order some more keychain things. I think some things sold out like the first day I was mentioned about the patches and the keychains. So those are probably gonna come back in stock. I think hopefully soon, probably sometimes next week maybe. But you have to keep an eye out for that. And then the beautiful, adorable stamp that Werewolf Billy made. Yeah, those are all cool things in the Werewolf Billy's store. Check it out. Buy it all. No. Also, Costume Kiwi. What is this? What are these yummy treats you sent me? Yes, Costume Kiwi sent me this in the mail, in the P.O. box. It's lots of delicious, very delicious trail mix, a whole box of them. That's a lot of them. I've been eating them as desserts occasionally. They're very good. Ones have some dark chocolate in it, and the other one has like some M&Ms almost in it, and it's like a good trail mix of different nuts and stuff, and like raisins and stuff. I like it very good. They're very yummy. It's very yummy. You do buy them? Well, yes, you do, Tammy Beans. That's true. You really do. So thank you, thank you. Thank you, Costume Kiwi, for the very generous snacks. To make sure I have snacks. Thank you, Costume Kiwi. Thank you very much. I ate some before stream too. I had sour gummy worms, and I had one of these. I had the sweet. It's called, I'm like bending really down low. Sweet and salty mix. I had the sweet and salty mix before stream. They're very good. Hi Ziggbee. Hello Mount Laurel. Hello, welcome. Snacky snacks are delicious. It's a lot of snacks too. I wish I could share some with all of you too. That concludes our show and tell section. Where's the Twitch one? There it is. Okay. I'm gonna get some pens and make sure that our Pictionary is working, hopefully. Whoa. Fox noises. Hello, Sky. Hello, Sky. Welcome. Hello, Zazzy Ferret. Zazzy Ferret's here too. Hello, Zazzy Ferret. Woo woo woo. Pumpkin. Pumpkin Queen official. He's zooming, yeah. Hello, Pumpkin Queen. Hello. It's so nice to see people come back again and again and again. I don't know why you do it, but I do appreciate that you do. Let me look. All right, I'm just gonna open the window, don't I? I forgot to send a notification. Sometimes Sandman beats me to it. Where is it? Did I put it in the windows? Let's see here. Yeah, I didn't put it. I'll send it right now. After like 10 minutes passed. There, I sent it. And now I'll do the Twitter notification. There we go. Look at me. I'm on the ball. I'm doing good. Okay, now I gotta do the Pictionary. Let's see what words we got. I added some today. There's gonna be spring related. Some of them. Oh, that would be a fun one. Okay, we'll do that one. Hopefully it doesn't have like too many different names. Let Small join. Why, Tammy Beans? Is Small asking to join? Small, did you want to join? Ziggbee, can I join you and draw something? Yes, you can if you want to. Come on down. Come on down, Small, if you wish to. If the price is right. Woo. That's the Price is Right song, I think. Wait, Morning Bee. Hello, Morning Bee. And Solar's here too. Small's being well. Small wasn't in the last stream. Do you want to be in the stream too, Soul? Soul, do you want to go on the stream? Do you want to go on the stream, Soul? You are a moderator. You'll have to come off. Oh, that's right. I put it red because sometimes people send me invites and stuff, and it's like while I'm streaming, it's like, no, I can't be doing that. Where's the friends tab? Wait, how do you know you're not even signed in yet, are you? Wait. Are you signed in? Not yet. Maybe we'll shortly. It's on Ask Me now for permission to join. I want to party. Wait, what? If Small is partying, you want to party if Small is partying? You could, Soul, you can come on too. Just send an invite. I'll invite you in. It can be chaos. It could be complete chaos. Whoa. Ooh. Any other moderator want to join? That'll be the entire entertainment for today. Just watching me and some of the other moderators just hang out. I know, Nerdy Nanny. Hello, Nerdy Nanny. Hope you're doing good. I didn't fully try out that place you suggested at the karaoke, but I'm gonna try it hopefully next time I go on TikTok. I don't know if I'll do it on here because Sib was Sib won't be here unfortunately, but he misses you and loves you all very much. He needs to like just relax and decompress from work and stuff. But he mentioned to me, well, I said, what I might sing, I don't know, or dance, and then Sib says, Ziggbee, you do know that the stream will be up probably forever if you do, right? Because the good thing about TikTok is I really don't save I don't upload the VODs to like archive them or anything, so I can be as off the rails and do very silly or even cringy stuff, and it disappears hopefully kind of in the ether of the internet, so they won't, unless I clip it, unless other people clip it and take pictures and stuff. Proof that it happened. How long are you married, Ziggbee? About, oh my gosh, it's almost like 11 years. Wait. No, we've known each other for 11 years. It's probably half of that, so it's probably about 6 years almost. Thank you, Tama Beans, for the very generous direct tip. Thank you, Tammy, for supporting this ferret and giving the very big, huge, generous direct tip. Thank you, Tammy Beans. Tama Beans. I love TikTok stream. Yeah, TikTok stream is more carefree because I kind of use whatever I want basically. I don't have to worry. I should worry about it, but I don't worry about music and stuff as much or what I'm doing because I can be, yeah. Anyways. A stream is special being in the moment. Celebrate the passing memories. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what kind of TikTok is, essentially. Obtain is nuggies the same as like beans? Because there are some beans that love chicken nuggets, if that's what you mean. There's fiends, chicken nugget fiends, I think, that love chicken nuggets. Or in a small case, chicken noodle soup, I believe. Wait, so when you stream on TikTok, it doesn't save the VODs? Well, actually it does. They save the VODs for a little while, and I have access to it too, because I clip them. I was supposed to clip them. I see an invite from Small. I clip the videos and upload the pieces to TikTok, and then voila, profit. Well, in theory, anyway. Boing, boing, dino. Nuggies are yummy. Ooh. Did that work? I'll send another approval. Is Solar gonna come here too? Is what do you call it? Tatum, are you gonna come on too, possibly? Nuggies are pretty pog. Yeah, they are. Oh, I learned a new word today because I'm old and I have to learn new words because things are changing. No, don't raid me. Baba Mama, thank you for the raid of 1. Tatum pancakes. My headset is dead. No one told me in advance. Listen, okay, Tatum, listen to me. Tatum, yesterday you said you joined me and dance. Do a dance off. No, just kidding. You don't have to that. Hello, Small. Oh, I can't hear you or anything. Small, do you want to? I guess I'll do it in the VR chat. I'll hear you through VR chat. Let's see. How do I do that? Boop. And also turn off the music from this place. Let's give it a try. Can I hear you, Small?
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. I have to be close by you though to hear you really good. There's Small's here. If you want to come back here, Small, they can see you. You're so small. There's Small, everybody.
Tatum's just mad because she wasn't prepared.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tatum. I'm sorry. Maybe next time. You can join me on a TikTok stream or something sometime if you really want to. It's okay. No worries. You should do another community meetup. I know people keep asking for it and I need to do it really bad. I really do need to do it bad. I guess I'll ask maybe Sib for the forum so people can sign up and stuff so we can do it that way, and I could probably I'll just do it or something. Just who cares? What month should we do it? What, May, January, March, April, May? Should we do it in June? I don't actually think about it. I'll have to talk to Sib and think about it. Because I want to do it at a time where it's like, it's feasible. And pancakes, you could be plugged in and try doing it that way. That's true. It won't let me in. What do you mean it won't let you in, Soul? Wait, is this Soul right there? Did you change your icon? Small? Wait.
Huh? No.
Wait, is that? Wait, that's your picture. I'm so confused. I don't understand anything. Let's see here. Soul, do I have you on my friends list, Soul? If you want to join. Phobic, what? It won't let me in. Well, I want to try to get you in if I can, Soul. You could be plugged. I'm reading the same thing twice. It doesn't charge. It just keeps stable when it's charging right. I see. I don't know. I can't even with how freaking adorable Small is. Costume one.
Ziggbee, do you have this person added? This is Saul.
That looked like you. I think I invited them. Yeah, that was the person who was on my list. I thought it was you with a different name because it shows you as Small. But yeah, thank you for writing their name down.
No, that's Saul.
Okay. Can I add them if they're not? Let me check my friends list, everybody. I'm off screen. I'll at least stand on screen so you can look at what I'm doing. So where's the social thing? Wait, why did the menu change? I'm so confused with their menu. Okay, that brings up that menu, and then I can go to this. I saw the invite though, and I selected it. How do you add people?
He just went offline.
No, Soul, no. I'm sorry. His name's still there. I'll type it in and see if I'll add it. L. I shouldn't say it in case they don't want to be bugged on VR chat. Let's hope I type this right. Submit. There they are. Favorite. They're on my friends list. Oh man. Well, why'd you give up so fast? It's okay, Soul. If you don't want to try again, I understand. Hammy Beans are small in
resetting his headset.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was an update and it changed the button around. Like, oh boy, that's fun. I was updating to try and fix it. Oh, no worries. No worries. Boing, boing. Wait, is this live? Yes, it is. What do you mean is this live? Nick, I said hi to you earlier, I think. Right? Is this live TV? Yeah, kind of like is. A little bit lagged, I'm sure, just slightly, because usually streaming takes a little bit of time to get sent to you if there's no buffering weird stuff going on. Woo! Show us today's newspaper. There's Sandman. Oh, you actually did emotes too. Hello, Sandman. Sandman, you want to join too? I see the request, Nerdy Nanny. Oh, where'd it go? I'll find it probably later. Where's the socials? Social medias. No, online friends. Where's the request for friends? I'll do this later. I'm like, I'll just do this on stream. I guess it doesn't matter, does it? I sent you in, or I approved your invite. I'll send an invite again. I forget if Soul is Soul on Oculus or something else.
I think he's on Quest.
Quest. Which one is that one? Quest. Which
The same one I'm on.
Oh, okay. Oculus is. What is Quest is separate though. What does that sound? Wait, what is that? Okay, I never hear that sound because I usually have it muted. It's Soul. Hello, Soul. And it's your choice if you want to. Hey, it's your choice if you want to talk or not, or whatever you want to do is fine. Look at this. Come over here. Can we show you off though? That looks really cool. You look like you look all space and like sparkles in you, like little specks everywhere. That's fancy.
It's the smallest dragon I have, so that I'm not too big.
It's adorable. It's adorable. Why are all you so adorable?
Look here. You come here. You come here.
Why is everybody so adorable?
Hello.
I will not do any spicy emotes. What do you mean, Strawberry? Amazing, yeah. Oculus is Quest. Oh, okay, I see. Thank you, Sandman. Sandman knows lots of stuff. Exciting. So my work is big into inclusiveness, and I'm going to help get a team from work to participate in Pride Walk. Oh, that's awesome, Costume One. That is so cool. That is really awesome. Heck yeah. I'm pretty sure like June, right? Typically it's June Pride thing. I'm like, that thing, that Pride thing, yeah, I think it's in June. Because I remember on TikTok, I always get like the trolls in June being trolly. June indeed. I did the booty shake the last time. Wait, what? Oh, it's you did a booty shake emote? That's fine. That's fine. Wait. Where is Sib? Sib is taking a break. Sib will hopefully eventually join me again sometime when he feels comfortable doing so, but I'm not gonna force him because he does work during the week and he's exhausted typically afterwards. So it's like, it's up to his discretion if he wants to. I guess what I'll do first, I'll do the first Pictionary word to make sure the system's working currently, and we'll go from there. Sound good? You ready to play some Pictionary? I said, are you ready for Pictionary? No, just kidding. Oh my gosh, it actually works. Whoa, I like that. I never had like a live studio audience before. It makes me get, it gives me anxiety.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I can choose not to look.
No. It's all right. It's all right. I'll choose.
You should use this pen.
Ooh, it's. I believe this color is teal, right?
Yeah, this is my color.
Oh, you love teal?
I do.
My favorite color.
I'll start the round. Let's see if this works. Hopefully. Let's see here. It popped up. It's looking good. Okay, I'll give this a try. I'm not as good an artist as Small or Solar, but let's see.
You are. You just don't believe in yourself.
Oh, thank you. Well,
You're
wait till
too
I'm done
harsh
drawing
on
first.
yourself.
You're too great at drawing, Ziggbee.
Oh, thank you.
Your issue is you're a perfectionist, and that makes art less enjoyable. You just have to be
Small's a
easy and
perfectionist
go
too.
with the flow.
Does that make? Well, you don't know.
I feel like I know. I really don't, but I feel like I do. It's a good drawing.
That's right.
Is the timer over? Can I guess?
It's a hot dog.
Is
No,
it Oh, never mind.
No,
it
what do you
looks
think?
like a fishbowl from here. It's a cricket. Okay.
I'm gonna look for your angle. Yeah, it looks
Yes,
different.
like, see, this the fish, and then the pole, and it's a pond.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It does.
Here,
I think you're seeing like this, basically, a little bit almost.
Yeah.
A fish with a toupee, maybe. But yeah, it's grasshopper. Let's see how we did for that one.
It's a sick fish.
I was gonna say that.
Show the round scores.
100% natural.
Only 4 people got it. Is that okay? Let me see how many people are here, actually. 39 people. Okay, sorry, I'm yelling at you. You got 4 people that got it right. I'll mention all 4 since there's only 4 of you. First place is Mount Laurel. Second place, Peachring Rat. Hello, Peachring Rat. Third place is Paige Mustang. And third place is Ape Ranger. Well. Look who's playing the game of Pictionary right now with all of us. Ape Ranger. Hello. Is Peachring Rat making you watch?
My individual flaws.
Glad to have you here, Ape Ranger. No worries if you go play video games, though. I'm gonna hide the score for now, so it does work. So let me see the next word, and then we can have a Small or Solar draw if they want to. Let's see. Next prompt would be.
Do you want to go small or should
I mean, you don't have
First
to.
if you want to.
I mean, I don't want to do so like this.
You go
What?
first this time because last time it was the 3 of us. I went
So
first.
if you don't really have to if you don't
Okay.
want to do. If that's okay, that's fine.
I do.
Okay. All right. I'll get a pencil and draw what the word is, and whichever one of you decides to draw, you're welcome to draw, and I'll tell you when you can start. I'll take my time to write this. So this one has 2 acceptable words. I spell this right? I think so. And I think the other one I put in there. think it was possibly that. I might be spelling the second one wrong, but I think I got both these words in there. You ready?
Is here like a good spot?
Yeah, it's perfect. I will start the round whenever you're ready, Soul.
Oh man. I'm trying to not be too in the way.
That's beautiful. Looks like someone already got it. It's counting down from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is raincoat. Also, I believe trench coat was in there as well. I put 2 in there for both of them. Whoop. Let's see how many people got that right. That's a beautiful picture too. Like, there's a difference between like an artist and someone that's not an artist. Because if I draw something like that, it's like I'm doing.
Yours looks great.
Oh, you're being too sweet. I would draw like this.
True.
How would I draw that? I'm doing it really cursed now. I don't know what to do.
No, that's a good trench coat though.
It's like a huge one. Okay, let's see how we did for scores. Show me the round scores for raincoat or trench coat. Only 4 of you again. Oh no. First place is Paige Mustang. Second place is Mochi Dragon. Third place is Mount Laurel. And fourth place is Costume One. Actually, to be fair, can I blame this on Chat GPT? Wait, did I get the word from that? I might have got the word from that, or a list or something. Can I blame it on artificial intelligence? Asking for spring type words and it generates a list for me if I want. Very fancy stuff.
That is helpful, at least.
Whoa. Oh, sorry. I should look at chat too what they're doing because I'm not paying attention. Oh, there's redeems. Boings from Morning Bee. I will do that. I will give you boings. 1 though. Boing. There you go. In this time and age, we. Thank you. I'm being very what do you call it? I'm trying to think of a joke. I can't think of one. Tammy Beans wants a boing too. Boing. There you go. I get 1. And group hug Costume One? I think Costume One just wants a hug from everybody here being cute. I think that's what's going on here. Is that what you want, Costume One? A small soul, you can join in if you want to group hug. Anybody who wants a hug, come here. We'll all give group hugs. There you go. We give group hugs to everybody. We gotta ration the boings. Thank you. That's what I was thinking, Sandman. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Small and Solar for the group hug. Small Sandman, you actually got the joke. I was trying to say, but it failed. Yeah, we gotta ration those things now because it's hard times these days. Tammy says, I'm
inflation of the boings.
Exactly. I'm in a garage on my treadmill. Tammy. Mally from my router now no chance today. I don't know what the melee stands for, but yeah, it's good you're exercising and watching stuff. That's awesome. It feels very good to do 2 things at once. I used to do that at like a college gym. I would do like a treadmill or something or elliptical and try to read a book too. So I feel like double productive. I didn't learn anything though, but
running and reading sounds so hard.
I wasn't okay. That's okay. I wasn't like full on. I was going like this and reading and looking down.
Yes, maybe.
Oh, elliptical too. Elliptical is like slow and you're in one position. But yeah, I guess it's not for everybody. I read really slow too, so it's like yeah. I used to read on the swing set in high school. Whoa, swing sets are fun actually. I don't remember there being a swing set in high school though. That sounds lovely. I love ellipticals. Yeah, ellipticals are way better for your knees supposedly, like versus running where you get that hard push down when you step. It's like over time your knees can be Be bothered if you do it a lot. Ooh, ooh. Oh, I'm sorry. We're playing Pictionary still, aren't we? Small, do you want to do the next one?
Yeah.
Oh, this one's not going to be fun. If you want to not do this one, Small, you can tell me. There's two words that well, I'll show you. Spell this right. Now I know that's bad to have this thing here, but I put another one in too, just in case. I'll just say ahead of time, there is a space in this word. Those are the two things entered, basically. And it does have a space. And I'm telling you all that so you don't say Space Gate. You might say Space Gate anyway, though, but I think it's more fair if I tell you there's a space in there. Woo! Woo! You ready, Small?
Can I go?
Yeah, started. Tammy Bean, why do you say Space Gate? There's no such thing. No space gate today, no. No Mochi Dragon. I said Moochie! Oh no! If I say your name wrong, I'm sorry. Sometimes I stumble over my own words.
To be fair, it's only one letter off.
Thank you. I like some of these guesses though. Think it's something, I'll give you a hint too, because these are probably a little hard. It's something that happens this month.
This is gonna be backwards. Yeah, that's backwards. Oh well.
But not tomorrow. Doesn't happen tomorrow.
No, it does not happen tomorrow. That's a counting down. It happens in 10 days, I believe.
That's a good hint, but
I think it's in 10 days, I think. Right?
it'd be good to know.
Yeah, the answer is Mother's Day. Now I know there's apostrophe there. Is that what that's called, apostrophe? But I also inputted it without that special mark. So either would have worked. So example, if you said Mother's Day without the special apostrophe, it would have also accepted it. I guess we'll find out when I show the scores though. Show me the round scores for Mother's Day. What should be one? Oh, it's more. It's 8 people. That's even better. See? It helps when we give tips too, right? I'll read the first 3. First place, Tatum Pancakes. I was looking at Small's reaction. Also first place, Mochi Dragon. Second place, a Peachring Rat. And third place is Paige Mustang. Woo! Good job, everybody. That's like 3 so far. I guess I'll do the next one. Woo! Woo! Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Small, did you know I solved the last puzzle for the shape game thing? There was a triangle that... Yeah, the triangle one was really hard. Oh, thank you.
This wasn't hard.
Let me see what the next word is. Okay, I'm ready for this. I'll do it with... Actually, what should I do? I'll do something so you can see. Can you see this color all right? Let's see. Oh yeah, you can definitely see that color. Not the most beautiful color, but we'll do that one. Got the round. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, I'm thinking of. Let's see. Let's do. Okay.
Whoa.
Someone actually got it. Can you see that? It looks like a UFO and stuff. A UFO on top of potato. It's Sun Hat.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was a mushroom.
I was gonna say sombrero from instinct, but I chose not to in case that was the word.
Let's see how many got it right. Show the round scores. Oh my gosh, only one person got it. Mochi Dragon sniped it. I know that was a hard one. Again, that was Chat GPT. This is one of the words they suggested. I think I said to make the words a little harder. Hopefully it's not too hard. It's very specific. Actually, I have a sun hat. I have a sun hat, everybody. You know, a couple years ago, we were at a Kia, Sib and I saw a hat that was like for a couple dollars. It was on clearance. It was like a sun hat, and I'm like, Sib, I kind of want that hat. Sib's like, get it. So I have like a sun hat. It's like a tan color and it's big and yeah.
Nice. Mama Soul is very partial to sun hats. She is a huge one.
Oh, that's epic. Does it have a bow on it too, or is it just huge and just
It's like
decorations?
a big. I realize I can just like show you. Like these, and it's got a ribbon on it.
Well, that's
like big
fancy.
hats. And she made one where she put flowers on it, so it's
Wow.
like, fancy.
That's awesome. I don't think mine even has any bows or anything on it. I think it's just like
Oh,
basic.
she made it herself with the flowers on top after.
Aw, that's so cute. I guess I'll rate the next word. Where'd I put the pencil at? Kiwi, what are you doing? Kiwi, get over there. I feel bad. I'm putting like Kiwi in the corner. I better bring Kiwi out probably. There you go,
Nobody
Kiwi.
puts kiwi in a corner.
I didn't mean
I
to.
know where to put Kiwi.
Let's see here. I'll erase this. Let's see what the next word is. Next prompt. I don't know if this one will be hard. This one's hard to spell. I think for some people.
If you have dyslexia, all words are hard to spell.
Very true. I think I should enter two of them, but I guess I just entered that one. There's abbreviation form of this. I have been saying too much.
You have the abbreviated one?
No, they just spell it out.
No. Oh, well, good luck, everybody.
I'm gonna start the round. Good luck.
Okay.
Alphabet?
Not giving any hints, but if Sandman doesn't get this, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Let's see.
It's mostly this, right? I'm just doing this for context because maybe that's not that very good.
I should have put the Sandman. I should have put the UK expression instead. Cooking up a stink. Yeah, Tammy Bees, I didn't put the abbreviated one in, unfortunately. I should have done that. I didn't think about that at the time.
Abbreviated is easiest.
Yeah, it's way easier.
This is scribbly. I don't know what else to add if they're not getting it.
Oh, they got it. I'm sorry.
Like-
So they got it.
Okay, good.
Sorry. Yeah, the answer is barbecue. Let's see the scores for that. Show the round scores. We got 4 people that got it. That was a hard one too. First place is Patring Rat is bringing it today, and Costumed One is second place there. Good job, Costumed One. And
job.
third place is Sandman. There you go. And fourth place is Paige Mustang. Good job.
Good job.
Oh, we'll do claps too. I don't think they can hear my claps so good.
I can hear you, Klaus.
Okay, cool. I think on my streaming software I have like no noise gates and some other things, so they can't hear me breathing.
I am also subconscious of that too.
Because like some of the headsets or microphones, you can hear people breathing and stuff. I did that once. I was so embarrassed. I went to a pet store once a long time ago, and I saw these cute little, I don't know if it's hamsters or something. It was probably a mouse or a rat or a hamster, and I was video recording it because I wanted to show like other people, right? And then when I watched the video, I was like, I don't want to show anybody this because in the video you see the animal and then you hear this breathing like. It's like I was
muted it, maybe.
That's true. That's true. I could have muted it. I guess because the phone was like right next to my mouth too, and as I was recording, then like leaning down. But yeah, it's embarrassing. That picks up so much stuff. Next word.
Tiny animal.
That's what it seemed like. It was kind of creepy, actually. What did I do for this one? I think I wrote 2 things for this, but I don't remember. Actually, I could probably check out what it is really quick. I'll look on my desktop. I think I put an image of what it. Let's see if it's there. It should be where. Double click, and then it should pop up here. Okay, I did this word. I did this with a space and without a space, so you're covered for both. Worst case scenario, I'll put both, so you so you know what I'm doing. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So, and so it's this one with a space and then without a space as well, just in case. Woo. I'll start it now.
Yeah, funny.
Ooh, someone already got it really quick. Counting down from 10 seconds. Ooh, ooh. 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's really good, Small.
Thank you.
That looks really delicious. I kind of want ice cream now. Oh my gosh. Did you see that thing? Yeah. I saw there was like, on like Twitter, I think it was Oreo. They showed like mint ice cream with Oreo chips in it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want
it. Yes.
Oh, I have to
Mint
get some.
Cookie dough is so good.
Wait. We need to talk about this. What is mint cookie dough? There's such a thing?
Yes, it's like mint ice cream, but with chocolate chip cookie dough in it.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like the little
Oh my gosh.
pieces.
Send
It's
some
so
to
good.
me.
I would if it wouldn't melt.
Well, that sounds delicious. Let's see the scores for ice cream, which is making me hungry for ice cream. I could possibly pick some up, honestly. After stream, I might go get some snacks and go to the store. I'll look for some, if I remember.
Did you custom this one? It's smaller than the usual one.
Show me the round scores. Oh, good, we got 6 people. First place, we have Sizzy Q. Second place is Paige Mustang. Third place is Peach Ring Rat. Honorable mentions is Ape Ranger, Costume 1, and The Sandman.
Her legs are very long.
The Sandman. Woo. The Sandman. Sorry. Oh, wait. Tatum Pancake's here, right? Yes. Tatum. I don't know if it's true, but I heard talks. I heard a person talk and say that Wendell, the Fortnite character Wendell, might get released the 8th. It could be just gossip, though. I just thought I'd share that with you. I'm like, what? I'm so tempted. I don't want to play Fortnite, but I like the character, though. That's how games can trick me if they have like really cute characters sometimes. And it's like, I kind of want to play because it's so cute. Okay, sorry. Hide the scores. Boom, boom. I will do the next. I mean, I don't know how many more words I have. We could do one more round, like we all each do one. I'll do this next one here. Let's see what it is. Well, this one might be hard to draw. I'll try to do with pink, maybe. Pink. There we go. That's really cool. Everyone ready? Stop the round. I might struggle drawing this.
Oh, that's a nice foofers. In case it's the word. Oh.
Whoa.
Good soup.
Good soup.
8,
Chicken
7,
soup.
6.
For you, yes.
Yes.
I think I put 2 words in for this one. The answer is thunderstorm. I think I might have put one with space in there too. Thunder, space, storm as well would also count. Show me the round scores for thunderstorm. 3 of you. And again, this is one of the harder words that Chat GPT suggested, I think. Well, not I think, that's what they suggested. Susie Q first place for thunderstorm. Paige Mustang second place, and also third place is Taylor. Hello, Taylor. Welcome. I didn't say hi to you today. Battery packs. Wait, battery packs. That emoji was actually correct. Yeah. No, not brainstorm. You actually did the thunderstorm emoji. Okay, I'll hide that score. Boop. I'll erase my drawing too. Where'd it go?
Oh, it's up there. It's like flying way above. Oh.
What? There we go.
My camera's like
lost their camera.
leaving the planet.
Boop, 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 boop. The next one, let's see here. What is this? Oh, this is cool.
You mentioned karaoke earlier, Ziggbee. Would you ever do that?
I did it on TikTok. A little tiny bit.
Karaoke.
I am scared.
No,
I
don't
do like
make
karaoke. Yes.
You like to
Let's do karaoke.
you like to listen to
It's
people
my
do
home
karaoke?
world, to be honest. Oh yeah, I think it's really fun. People are open to it. Joke's on you, this is one of my favorite things. For obvious reasons.
Is
Okay,
jellyfish one of the words we're drawing today?
Absolutely not.
So,
I
oh, I
refuse.
know why you said that. You because Soul doesn't like jellyfish.
Soul very much does not like jellyfish.
Soul, did a jellyfish
Okay.
get you or something one time?
I've been way too close to being stung by them. I live by an island, so that's bound to happen. But are we
I
starting?
see. Oh yeah, I'll start the rounds. It started right now.
Okay, before I do it too much. But yeah, then I saw them under a microscope and how they can still sting you even after they're dead. And I'm like, I don't think I want to mess with this creature that lives on spite. So.
Small still
Is that
drew it, Soul. I'm
Helicopter.
I didn't do
tattling.
anything.
Yes, you drew
Yeah.
that.
That was a
Doesn't
spooky
exist.
ghost.
Okay, there's a spooky ghost over here. Not a really spooky one.
Can I,
There you
can I
go.
touch this?
The what? The food on the table? No, the outlet. No, do not touch the outlet, especially in the States. Our outlets are not like super safe. They're kind of like janky sometimes. The answer was dragonfly. Let's see for the scores for dragonfly. 6 people got it. Good job. We have first place for dragonfly is Peachring Rat. Second place is Paige Mustang. Third place is The Sandman. Honorable mention is also Susie Q. Costumed 1 and Ape Ranger.
For those of you who got it, honorary dragonologists. Kidding.
The ghost child is hanging from Kiwi's mouth.
You know what's something strange? When I was like, I think I was younger or something, and I heard the word dragonfly, I was kind of like disappointed at how they looked because they didn't look like dragons. I was like, it doesn't look like a dragon. It looks like a weird bug.
Can I tell you a fact about dragonflies?
Yeah.
This could be kind of spicy, but also
Oh my
not
gosh,
really.
I go
It's,
away.
like, basic.
Okay.
Female dragonflies, if they don't want to mate, they play dead by dropping out of the sky.
Good for them.
Yeah. It's like, get the hint.
They genuinely just fall. Like, I'm dead. You don't want me.
Thank you, Small, for that
I love
lovely.
how they hover. They're really cool.
Oh yeah, they do really good job hovering. That's true. Small, you ready for the last word of Pictionary?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at what it is. Oh, this one's an interesting one. let's see here. Wait, where'd the word go? Let me double check the spelling of the. Wait. It's not. Wait. There's more. There's more than one. Do you see the word to make that sound?
More than one?
Yeah, let me see the word. Okay. This is, or it's two. Where is it? Where did I put it at? This is not a big change. Okay. Does that help at all, Small?
Okay.
This is a hard one.
I think I know how to do this.
And I'll start the round. Starting the round. Rainbow, rainbow in the sky. Ooh, someone got it. Let me see that. Who got it?
Ooh, sniping the answer?
Oh, let's see. No, actually,
No?
a couple people got it at the same time. And then I think other people are stealing the answer now. The answer is gnome. Also in there was garden gnome. That was kind of a hard one too. Show me the round scores for garden gnome or gnome. Oh, a few of you got it. Yeah, the top three people are the ones that actually kind of knew it. It would be Peachring Rat, first place. Also, Reverse. Wait, I don't know how to say the rest of that. I don't think I've said your name. Have I said your name before? Reversal. We also have Frog.
Oh, it's a reverse spicy word.
Oh. Are they trying to troll? We have Frog also on there. That's second place. Third place is Tatum Pancakes, and then honorable mentions is Paige Must. Actually, I'll read all of them at the final score. Show me. You ready for the final scores for Pictionary? Thank you for the whoop whoop.
Hopefully not.
Oh my gosh! Show me the game scores. Actually, the person who won is Paige Mustang with 84 points.
Tatum didn't win.
Actually, where is Tatum? Tatum's actually 9th place. It's okay, Tatum.
Tatum.
Why are you guys trolling poor Tatum? Duh.
The small's the one being about.
Small, come on. So we have, I'll mention all the other names too. Again, congratulations to Paige Mustang for being a Pictionary champion of this week. Also, I'll read all the names or try to. Peachring Rat, Mochi Dragon, Suzy Q, Costume One, Mount Laurel, Reversal, Ape Ranger, Tatum Pancakes, The Sandman, Frog, and Taylor. Good job, everybody. Good job. I'll hide the
Congrats
scores.
to everyone but Tatum.
Duh.
Congrats, Tatum, even though Small will take it from you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
No, congrats, Tatum.
That's all I got, everybody. That's all I got.
You can't disqualify me. I wasn't playing.
That's true. You weren't playing.
Disqualified from judging.
I'm allowed to judge people. That's my specialty.
Do you want to try like maybe one like song or something if you want to try? It would be on YouTube for eternity probably.
Oh, dang.
Fresh. I shouldn't say that. Or maybe we can do it
Small
off.
thing's good. Pressure.
If people are gonna judge us for having fun, they suck.
That's true. That's very true. What do you say? What do the viewers say? How do you want to do Latin? I love doing Latin. Latin's like easy to do for a whole new world because you just yell it and it sounds all right, kind of. You know that? You want to hear us try to sing a song or something? A whole new world. Yeah, you just yell it and you're good. More singing? What do you mean? More singing? They say like a bad thing. I see Tambean says yes. Paige Mustang says yes. More fun, please. Sky says yes. Okay, we'll give it a try. I will make a portal for us. We'll go to the place that works, which is nice.
Furry karaoke always works.
Yeah, that place always.
That's the one we go to.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
go
where I
there
go.
without a. I'll go without a portal because last time I went to portal recently, I crashed. So I don't want to do that. I'm gonna teleport. I literally earlier today when I was streaming on TikTok, I tried to use a portal. It crashed me. I was like, "What? Your singing is good. Thank you." I miss Kmart. I could go back to Kmart sometime. I could do that on TikTok, definitely. Welcome to the. What's this place called? It's called Furry something. Oh, it's adorable. I love all these pictures, all these different characters and stuff. Wait, this is. I walked right into the bedroom. No, I'm not going that way. Where's the karaoke? Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's invite them both back into. Let's see here. Social. You can't see my menu, can you? Go back. It's gonna let me. Let's see. Yeah, send invite. Send, and then do it again. There we go. I got 2 invites sent. I'll put up the camera and stuff. I might have to lower the brightness as well. Oh, you can see like everything here. Fancy. Lock the camera there and also turn down the brightness because this place is already a little bit bright. Turn it down a little bit so it's not so overwhelming. There we go. There we go. Make sure we got everyone invited. Looks like we do. Oh, hello. The only downside is that you gotta
even finish what you were saying before you left me.
Sorry. They just updated this room today to add the stage. I was in their Discord and they were like, "Look,
What
performance
stage?
mode." There's
Where's
a
the stage?
now.
Where?
It's this. But like you put on performance mode, and then when your song comes up, it puts you on the stage.
Oh,
That's what they
Oh.
said in the post anyway.
I'm not sure what song to pick though and stuff, cause it doesn't seem like a lot are duets or anything.
There are some, but you might have to pick who's doing it instead of it showing you who's doing it. So depend on the genre you're looking for. Also, Ziggbee, you left everybody over there.
Oh, I'm over here. Don't raid me, anybody. What are you raiding me for? I'm not doing anything. Evil Emperor Dave. Wow, what a treat. Welcome, Evil Emperor Dave, for the raid of, wait, I need to look at the number. 6! Perfect. Now get 2 more of those and you'll be 666. Hello, Evil Emperor Dave. I hope you're doing well.
Welcome in.
Welcome, yes.
hello.
Can I just sing a song?
Hello.
This is small. I'm soul.
Where's that? Oh, I'll do this one, yeah. I'm gonna do, wait, I just pause the music.
That's small. Here to regulate.
Evil Emperor Dave, what a pleasant surprise and like wonderful time to like drop into the stream.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to make sure the audio is going too. Music looks good. I'll sing this one. What's normal
Oh
mode?
yeah.
Oh, you can choose. I'll just do normal mode though. I'll sing the first song if that's cool.
I was gonna get you one, but you see, you got
Oh,
it.
thank you. Wait, is it going? Oh, they got rid of the counter. Okay, let's see if this works.
Hmm.
You all ready, everybody?
Oh, I love this one. Go Ziggy.
Yes. Okay, you ready? May the fourth be with you. Evil Upper Dave, you get out of here. No, just kidding. Yes, I love this song too. Hope I can see it pretty clearly while I'm facing like these monitors. Okay, here we go. I might mess up sometimes. Let's give it a try though. I have always dreamed of a far-off place where a great warm welcome will be waiting for me, where the crowds will cheer when they see my face. Oops. And a voice keeps saying, this is where I'm meant to be. I will find my way. I can go the distance. I will be there someday if I can be strong. I know every mile will be worth my while. I would go most anywhere to feel like I belong. Thank you, Tammy Beans. I think so too. Aww. Yeah, you can sing along. Definitely, Paige. That's part of the fun, I think. Woo. We have a lot of filler in this song, apparently. Like, where's the rest of the song? It's, woo.
It comes after.
I'm on my way. I can go the distance. I can care how far. I don't care. Somewhere I'll be strong. Somehow. Oh my gosh.
You got this. You got this.
I'm done. I would go most anywhere to find where I belong. Is that the end?
Yeah. Good job.
No, it was terrible. No.
Yes, that was good.
No.
That was good. You can't do karaoke wrong.
That's awesome. You're welcome to.
Yeah.
You're welcome to. If you want any like song in mind that you want to sing or you want to duet together, you can.
A duet maybe. That I have one that's like kind of short to like get used to it, I guess. Small
Is it-
duet. Do you have one first or
No, not really.
no?
I mean, I can sing one if you want.
Okay, you don't have to, of course.
Small is very brave,
Ziggbee, you
and I.
watch
What's
SpongeBob?
up?
Do you watch SpongeBob?
I watched some of it. Yeah, not like all of it though. You can do the theme song. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Is that the one?
I don't think they had the theme song actually. They do have a few.
What does the first part go to the SpongeBob theme? It says like hello or something. There's a pirate guy. It like says hello or something.
Are y'all ready, kids?
Are y'all ready, kids? Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. Aye, aye, Captain. Thank you, Dark Shadow. Thank you. Did Evil Emperor Dave run away after I started singing? Probably a good choice if he did.
What?
You should. You what? You should the fun song? Isn't it a song from SpongeBob? Woo!
They do have the fun song.
Do they have pencils here too?
No, I usually do ripped pants because it like
Woo.
it's short and it's goofy. So I can try and get it out of the way. Okay. I'll go with no
And they missed out.
more
That's true, Mochi
than
Dragon.
3
That's
days
true.
now.
That's a good filter or barrier. Someone said on one stream the 3 C's. Let's see here: cuteness, charisma, and cringe. It keeps us safe. Ooh.
I usually skip this part. And now she won't even spare a passing glance, all just because I ripped my pants. Big Larry came round just to put him down. SpongeBob turned into a clown, and no girl ever wants to dance with a fool who went and ripped his pants. I know I shouldn't mope around, I shouldn't curse, but the pain feels so much worse. 'Cause winding up with no one is a lot less fun than a burn from the sun or sand in your buns. Now I learn a lesson I won't soon forget. So listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like a fool who ripped his pants.
Very good. Very good. It's beautiful. See, Strawberry Delight says beautiful too.
Nah. And their strawberries delights being nice.
And Tammy Bean says, my husband ripped his pants yesterday. Well, did you have what you want to sing too?
That was Pogger's page mistake. Thanks, Paige. It's very nice of you. I'm really shaky.
Oh, it's okay. You did great. You did amazing.
Well, like the first time I sung in front of like anybody else was when Small and I were playing like a Chutes and Ladders Truth or Dare, I guess. And then I was nervous then too. I'm just not used to it, but it's still fun. When it's with people I know, it's kind of like, oh.
Yeah. You want to tell you? I'll tell you a secret with Sib and I. When we were first getting to know each other a little bit, I don't know what possessed me to want to do this, but I sang Aladdin, A Whole New World, and sent it to him.
Oh,
I think he might have thought it was a little cringe though.
Oh. It's the sweetness that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Duet with Sib. When? I'm just kidding.
I don't think Sib would ever want to do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get him to dance or anything usually. I got him
Even
to
though
dance.
he's got prime tail for wiggling.
Yeah, exactly. I got him to dance a little bit in in a wedding once, just a little tiny bit, which is cool. Basically, just go on the floor and just move around a little bit.
Yeah.
Small, do you find out something you want to sing?
Ooh,
Yeah, I
Small,
picked
pick a
one.
good one.
I'll try to
Do you
get
know this
closer
one,
to you.
Ziggbee?
Oh, which one is it? I see the
From
light.
Tangled.
Oh, I think yeah, I
It's a
think so, a little
duet.
bit.
We attempted to sing those.
Wait, are we singing together? You singing?
I know, God, all those days watching from the window. All those years outside looking in. All the time, never even know it. Just how blind I've been. Now I'm here, blinking in starlight. Now I'm here, suddenly I see Standing here, it's all so clear. I'm where I'm meant to be. And at last I see the light. And it's like the fog has lifted. And at last I see the light. And it's like the sky is new. I give up. I'm not doing this.
I'm gonna try.
No, but you sing good. It's good.
Let's see if I can do. Let's see here. All at once, everything. I don't know the beat of the song. Looks different now that I see you. Wait, is that the whole?
No, it's the same.
I have something for you too. I should have given it to you before, but I was. Wait, am I? Is this a singing?
Me too. That's what
I'm starting to. All those days chasing down the dream. Wait, the daydream. All those years living in a blur. No, I can't do this. I can't do this. No.
Now she's here, shining in the starlight. Now she's here, suddenly I know. If she's here, it's crystal clear. I'm where I'm meant to go. And at last I see the light. And it's like the fog is lifted. And at last I see the light. And it's like the sky is new. And it's warm and real and bright. And somehow the sun shifted. All at once, everything is different. Now that I see you. Now that I see you.
Yay.
Very good.
Good job, you two. Yeah,
So
good job.
brave. Good job. Yeah. How's that, everybody? That was so beautiful. Thank you, everybody. That's so sweet of you to say too. I'm gonna turn back on the default music.
You did great. We did so good.
Push the play button there. All right, everybody. I think that kind of ends it for this evening. I'm gonna probably get some snacks, get some food, and yeah, hope you have a great weekend. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow on TikTok. I might possibly for Friday, and then just enjoy the weekend and Friday and stuff. So I hope you get to enjoy a Friday and the weekend and do something fun or exciting or whatever makes you happy, honestly. You guys did excellent. Thank you, Tama Beans. Thank you, Tama Beans. Before I go though, I'll give you a beans. Dazzle stars. Many boons and blessings, everybody. You want to do one more group hug?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody who wants group hugs, come here. There we go. There you go, everybody. Big group hugs.
Good. No juice.
Oh, you two are so cute.
No, you.
No, you. No, you. All right, everybody, I'm gonna zoom these away. I love you all very much. Platonically, of course, I'm married. I will zoom these away. Beep, 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 beep.
Wait, you go.